Ladies and gentlemen, the following podcast is set for one episode. Your host from Columbus, Ohio, is Michael Kirk. Welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast. Hello and welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast, your digital audio dirt sheet for all things Super Show. Top story this week, Pixel Palace Pandemonium 7. The longest running Create a Competitor tournament in Super Show the game took place yesterday as I'm recording this, Saturday, March 21st. I was there. I will give you what I have. I'm going to run down the tournament and then the featured matches, and I'll briefly touch on the promo cards from Pixel Palace Pandemonium 7. 21 players signed up for the tournament. Unfortunately, this was, if not the lowest, the second lowest amount of participants in one of the Pixel Palace Pandemonium tournaments. Normally, you're trying to get at least 34 people just to cover the cost of the Create a Competitor tournament. We were short, but the tournament went on. The World Division competitors were booked. The Hall of Fame Division competitors were booked. The Hall of Fame competitors refers to competitors that have been used to win Create a Competitor tournaments in the past. If a competitor had been used to win a previous Create a Competitor tournament, like Pixel Palace Pandemonium, or the Sunshine Smackdown, or Marktoberfest, any past Create a Competitor tournament, it was ineligible to be played at Pixel Palace Pandemonium 7. Unranked competitors were also booked. Those are competitors not currently assigned to a division. I don't think that's a problem for any competitor currently, so that part didn't matter. The 21 players played in 5 bullet rounds, and then they cut to a top 8. Everyone with a record of 3-2 or better made the top 8. No one with a record of 3-2 was left out. It was a clean cut to a top 8. There were no stipulations in the quarterfinal round or semifinal round. The finals match would be a main event stipulation match. Here were your matchups in the quarterfinal round of Pixel Palace Pandemonium 7. In the first match, we had Bob Dunn, who was one of the 2 undefeated players going into the top cut, playing as Steel Wool, versus Jamal Lewis, one half of 2 Live Lou, playing as Miss Supernova. In the second match, we had the Director of Operations, Dave Marisak, playing as Highwater, versus the Collector, Sean Loeb, playing as Swoggle. In the third match, we had yours truly, host of the Outlaw Mudcast, Michael Kirk, playing as the greatest American who ever lived version of the SRG boss. I took on Ricky Riot, who was playing as El Scorpio. And the final match in the top cut, the other undefeated player from the 5 bullet rounds, the frequent flyer, playing as Backpack Man, taking on the lethal endorser, playing as Citizen X. The winners advancing to the semifinals were Bob Dunn, Director of Operations Dave Marisak, the frequent flyer, and yours truly, Michael Kirk. I can tell you that the match I had with Ricky Riot, which ended up going to Crowd Meter 2, was a battle. We took a long time slugging it out. It took us so long that the entire other half of the bracket completed. We had the finalist from one half of the bracket determined while we were still going. Ricky Riot, former Create a Competitor tournament winner, one half of the tag team of the era. So many accolades, I can't even name them all. Absolute battle, but I was able to walk away the victor today. Great match with Ricky Ryan. In the semifinals, we had Bob Dunn taking on the Director of Operations and myself taking on the Frequent Flyer. Again, I missed the other semifinal match because I was still in my quarterfinal match. Bob Dunn won that. I faced one of the two undefeated players up till that point, the Frequent Flyer. Now, I had faced the Frequent Flyer in the bullet rounds. It was our first match in the bullet rounds. He got the better of me with Backpack Man. That was my only loss. I went 4-1 in the bullet rounds. I faced him again here. I knew he was going to be tough because we had a tough match in the bullet rounds. But here, the dice were just on fire for me. And at Crowd Meter 2, I win. I advance to the finals. So, I, playing as the greatest American who ever lived a version of the boss, take on Bob Dunn, undefeated on the day, playing as Steel Wool in a main event stipulation match that would go on to be a battle, a potential match of the year candidate. It was streamed. This match, some of the featured matches, I think all of the featured matches, and maybe some tournament things, I did not get to watch all of the stream. But they were streamed by Flame Fighter on his Twitch channel. That is still up if you want to check that out. This was going to be a big match for both of us. For me, it's the first time I've ever made a Create a Competitor tournament finals. I've made a couple of semifinal rounds, but never the finals. If I were to win, it would be my first ever Create a Competitor tournament win. If Robert the Brain Dunn had won, this would have been his 7th Create a Competitor tournament win, and it would have been his 3rd straight Create a Competitor tournament in a row. He had won the last 2 previous Create a Competitor tournaments he entered. He was in his 3rd straight finals match, and again, if he would have won 7-time overall, 3 in a row. This match was a battle. It went all the way to Crowd Meter 5. We were throwing Rejected to reset decks, using Apocalypse to clear the board offensively in one case. Both players hit finishes in the match. Both players kicked out of finishes in the match. It ends up going all the way to Crowd Meter 5. At Crowd Meter 5, all of the finish rolls are +6. So unless you can increase your skills or breakout rolls, if a player hits a finish, they're going to roll more than 10. And so if you can't roll higher than 10 for a breakout roll, the only way you can break out is if you roll your highest skill on the 3rd breakout roll. I hit the finish at Crowd Meter 5. I roll a 16. The only way Bob Dunn can break out is if he rolls his strike, his printed 10 skill, on the 3rd breakout roll, and he does not. I end up winning Pixel Palace Pandemonium 7. Bob is a very tough competitor. I mean, the man's won 6 Create a Competitor tournaments alone. He's made 3 straight finals, and we had a massive battle in the finals of Pixel Palace Pandemonium 7. It could have gone either way. It just went my way. Hats off to Bob for a great match. I have won a Create a Competitor tournament. What am I going to do with that Create a Competitor? I don't know yet. A lot of people in the immediate aftermath were saying I should make JAC. I want JAC to win the Create a Competitor competition. Originally, my goal was just to get JAC in the game. But when they did the LFF versus WWX thing last CCC and had teams and had team captains, I would really like to be a team captain if they ever did that again. But I don't believe I could ever be a team captain if I didn't win the CCC. So I want to win the CCC. Also, there's a lot of controversy surrounding my win. Let me just go through that in no particular order. To start with, I mentioned at the beginning that the Hall of Fame list of competitors are booked. Now, the competitor I used is not on the Hall of Fame list. But his gimmick allows him to reveal other competitors with the SRG Boss logo on them and use the gimmick of one of those competitors. The competitor I used throughout the tournament, the competitor whose gimmick I added to the Greatest American Who Ever Lived SRG Boss version, is a competitor that has been used to win a Creative Competitor tournament, is on the Hall of Fame list. So arguably, I shouldn't have been allowed to even play the competitor I played because I was revealing a competitor that was on the Hall of Fame list. Additionally, throughout this tournament, I was rolling by banking my die off of my deck case, the case I used to carry my Super Show cards. During the finals, it came up that the way I bank my die off the case, the way I grab the die and bank it off the case, is potentially cheating. That the way I'm doing it, the method I'm using, is not actually a true rolling method, that it's an illegitimate method. So, as of right now, I'm still officially the winner, but it's possible that it gets reviewed and overturned. We'll have to see. Right now, I am the disputed Pixel Palace Pandemonium 7 winner. We'll have to see. The other thing that I'm concerned about is this. I did win with a version of the SRG Boss. The SRG Boss is in the Crime Wave. He could pull some Crime Wave shenanigans and somehow, invoke some eminent domain in Super Show the Game and just yank the Creative Competitor away from me. So we'll have to see. For right now, JAC is still in the 2025 CCC. Please vote for JAC. Now let's talk about the featured matches at Pixel Palace Pandemonium 7. There ended up being 3. The first one I'd been talking about for a while, the LFF Underworld Championship match. Colin Simon, playing as Colin the Chrononaut, was the challenger. The champion, Headband champion Matt Nealon, playing as the second version of Pretty Hair Piercer. The match ends up going to crowd meter 3. The winner, still champion, history-making Matt Pineapple. Congratulations to the champion for successful defense. I was not able to watch this match. It was going on while I had my quarterfinal match. The second match, which I did get to see quite a lot of, including the end, was for the LFF Global Championship. This had not been discussed as being a featured match, but the Global Champion was on hand, the Collector Sean Loeb, at Pixel Palace Pandemonium 7, so he was booked into a match. The challenger, The End, representing the Refinery, playing as Will Ospreay, took on the champion with Swoggle. This match ends up going to crowd meter 2. It literally comes down to whoever won the final turn roll would get to hit the finish. And hitting the finish and winning the game, still champion, the Collector Sean Loeb. Congratulations to the Collector for a successful defense. The third match I also did not get to see, and I don't know when exactly it happened during the day, but there was a defense of the Midwest Coast Tag Team Championship. The competitors in the tag team match, the players in the match, were challenging for the championship. Just Doug, playing as Vic the Doom, and The End, playing as Candice LeRae. The champions were the Unionverse tag team, normally of the Foreman and HR. HR was there playing as HR. The Foreman could not be there. So under the Freebird rule, the Flame Fighter steps in and plays for the Foreman as Vampire Hunter Foreman. The match ends up going to Crowd Meter 1. The winners hitting their grapple finish at Crowd Meter 1, still champions, the Unionverse tag team. Congratulations to the Flame Fighter and HR for successfully defending for the Unionverse. All of the champions that had featured matches at Pixel Palace Pandemonium 7 successfully defended on the day. This brings me to the promo cards. There were 4 promo cards that were part of Pixel Palace Pandemonium 7 that you received for signing up for the tournament. Pixel Palace Games Low Flying Elbow, Pixel Palace Games Pixel Perfect Plex, Pixel Palace Games Cut You Off, and they changed the name of this last card, Pixel Palace Games Over the Shoulder Boulder Throw. As far as I can tell, that was the only change to the wording on the cards. All of the rest of the text is the same. There are versions of these cards available for sale on supershowthegame.com. If you go to the website under New Items, you can buy the cards for $10 a piece or $30 for all 4 as a group. Now, the versions on the website do not include the Pixel Palace Games logo, which means you cannot use the words Pixel, Palace, or Games as keywords with those versions like you can for the versions that were given out at Pixel Palace Pandemonium 7. So keep that in mind. I think that might be the first time this has happened since they made the ruling that words in a logo in the name of a card are considered keywords for keyword gimmicks and keyword effects. So, for example, with the version of the Meeple, I think it's the Meeple's Champion version 2, that has the word board and game as keywords in the gimmick. The versions that have Pixel Palace Games logo in the name will work for his gimmick. The versions that don't have that logo obviously don't work for the gimmick. That is the current ruling as I understand it. That is all I have regarding the tournament featured matches and promo cards. Just on personal notes, it's always great to see everybody. A lot of the players from the Cleveland area came down. We had Bob Dunn fly in, as he's done so often. We had Chris Pate and Sean Loeb representing Michigan, and representing the United Kingdom, Neil the East End Enforcer Smith made an appearance at Pixel Palace Pandemonium 7. Great to see him. I didn't get to talk to him too much. I would have liked to have done that more, but just between the tournament and covering featured matches, that didn't happen. It's always great seeing everyone, even if I don't get to necessarily interact with everyone. It's great seeing all the people. I think this is the last big tournament that I will see anybody in person between now and Grand Gathering in May. So it was great to see everyone, and I look forward to seeing you all again in May. Also, thank you to everyone who congratulated me for winning, tentatively, Pixel Palace Pandemonium 7's Create a Competitor Tournament. And since I've just brought up Neil the East End Enforcer Smith and JAC previously, let's talk about CCC News. We have the winner for the 4th and final match of Round 1 of the 2025 Create a Competitor competition. The winner, Olivia Wonderland. Olivia Wonderland was facing Skip Hogfather Parsons, Medusa Stone, and the Spice Lord. And Olivia Wonderland takes the victory. She joins JAC, the Dude, and Sundown Moon in round 2 of the CCC. Now, there will be 4 additional people moving on to round 2. From what the SRG boss said on the last episode of Talk of the Universe, 2 of those will be wild cards, meaning I think they'll just be chosen by the powers that be behind the CCC. And the other 2 will be chosen using some other method that, as of right now, we don't know what it will be. As always, I recommend watching the SRG Super Show discussion group on Facebook and Talk of the Universe Wednesday night to receive news about the CCC. Congratulations to Olivia Wonderland for moving on to round 2. And since I brought up the Grand Gathering not that long ago either, we have a guest announcement for Grand Gathering in May. Mighty Marcel will be making an appearance in person at the Grand Gathering. To commemorate this, they're releasing a new card, a lead strike at number 7. I was made for the spotlight featuring Mighty Marcel in the card art. Very happy to see this card coming out. Going from memory, I believe it lets you search your deck for a spotlight card and add it to your hand. Very happy to hear Marcel will be at the Grand Gathering in just a couple of months. Speaking of cards releasing, there were a number of cards mentioned on the last episode of Talk of the Universe that are going to be coming out. A number of them coming out as foils. Let me just run those down in no particular order. Swim Files. Swim for it. A new version of the Overgiver with new finishes. Sticky the Salamander Sailboat. Gendre the Gigantic Grenoble. Bollywood Hunk Homeland. The Centipede, a full art version of the Centipede. The Heartache Kid. El Scorpio. Bronzeberg. Some Spectacles. Throws candy from the crowd. Tosses a pretzel. Those are going to be foil releases. A number of the Scallywag competitors and entrance ships are going to be released as foils. Some single cards, Throwing My Weight Around, Double Down on the Hits, Skull Busting Swing, Gathering the Microphone, Gathering the Baseball Bat, Gathering the Drumstick. Some entrances, Pretty Paul Says Let It Rip, It Ain't Easy Being Keezy, Enough of All the Ruckus, and Backed by the Grand Machine. There are going to be new foil versions of those coming out. The Backed by the Grand Machine featuring Grand Machine and Brian Cage in the art. And the last big release, no idea when this is happening, but there have been a number of sets, I want to say 50, of the original Ikuzo print run. Ikuzo Super Show, all the cards in the original run foiled. No idea how those are going to be released yet. But look for those cards coming out in the upcoming weeks and months throughout the year. Championship news. I have a lot of updates regarding the LFF Championship picture. I'm just going to give this in no particular order. First, there's been a change regarding the LFF Trios Championship. The next contender was going to be the collector Sean Loeb, but because he's the current LFF Global Champion, instead, Ken Fouché, the Grim Librarian, will be the next challenger for the current champion, Steven Moonstar. Ken Fouché will take the line and will attempt to challenge for the championship. Date and time to be determined. The second and final challenger for the LFF Triad Championship, currently held by Johnny Eldorado, has been named. We knew Evil Ed the Cheesehead was going to be one of the challengers. The other challenger will be Mike Benton. They will face the champion Johnny Eldorado in a triad match because the Triad Championship is only defended in triad matches. The next LFF Tornado Tag Team Championship match will happen a week from Sunday, March 29th. Challenger, the GOAT Brock Smith, challenging with Fashion Popos, will take on the current champion Simple Chuck, champion as Final Form Dick Thunderlips. The GOAT Brock Smith took third place in Hold the Line Harry's Tornado Tag Team Tournament. Going from memory, that was called Harry's Tornado Holiday Extravaganza. The GOAT took third place. Because of that, he is getting this shot against Simple Chuck. The SRG boss, the current general manager for the LFF Underworld division, has put up a Google document on the SRG Super Show discussion group on Facebook where you can vote for up to 4 people to get a shot at the LFF Underworld Championship. If you would like to vote in that, the post on the discussion group was put up Wednesday night with the link. Use the person's real name if you can when you vote for them. As far as I know, the voting has not closed, but I have not checked that. I have not seen or heard about an announcement regarding the closing of the voting period. There are plans for a future challenge for the LFF Old School Championship with Lukewarm Stephen Houston. If you would like to be considered to get a shot at the LFF Old School Championship as Lukewarm Stephen Houston, now is the time to get out there, make your case, make your promos, dress up as Lukewarm Stephen Houston, and convince the powers that be that you should get the shot at the LFF Old School Championship with Lukewarm Stephen Houston. We're still waiting for the match between John Hodges and Google Docs Dan, where the winner gets a shot at the LFF Global Championship. I have no additional news on that. Back to the LFF Old School Championship, the next challenger is Hunk Homeland. Hunk Homeland will challenge the High Roller for that championship, date and time to be announced. That is all the championship news I have currently, except for whatever comes out of Sunday Night Fights, which I will end up tacking on to the end of the show. Let's talk about the online tournaments and featured matches from this past week outside of Pixel Palace Pandemonium. I'll start Monday with Monday Night Fights. Underworld Division event. World Division competitors booked. All other singles competitors legal, subject to 2020 vision. 8 players played in 3 bullet rounds, and after the bullet rounds, they cut to a top 4. In the semifinal round, all of the matches were New York Rules matches. The finals match, and I believe the third place match, were both tables matches. Your top 4 were, in 4th place, playing as Shane Hurricane Helms, the antagonist. In 3rd place, playing as Hallow King, not sure which version, HR. In 2nd place, playing as Anarchy's son, Mike Benton. And the winner of Monday Night Fights, playing as Random Guy, the Chosen One, Colby Cram. Congratulations to the Chosen One for winning Monday Night Fights. Tuesday, we had Beatdown on the Big Picture Premium Twitch channel. 2 matches on the card for Beatdown. The first match a non-title match between current Apex champion TVA Commissioner Drew Madsen and the New York Phenom. The New York Phenom playing as Asia, the TVA Commissioner playing as the Cherry Glamazon. Standard singles match goes to crowd meter 1. The winner, the TVA Commissioner. Congratulations to the TVA Commissioner for winning the opening match of Beatdown. The final match of Beatdown was a match in the Apex Championship Contender Tournament. We had Simple Chuck playing as Simple Chuck, taking on the prize fighter Simon Davner playing as the TVA Commissioner. The match ends up going to crowd meter 2. The winner advancing in the Contender Tournament, Simple Chuck. Congratulations to Simple Chuck for winning and moving on in the tournament. Thursday, we had the Thursday night Boss Roddy Hardcore event. Underworld Division event. 23 players signed up. There were 5 bullet rounds, and after those bullet rounds, they cut to a top 9. 7 players received buys into the quarterfinals. 2 players played for the last spot in the quarters. All of the quarterfinal matches were New York Rules matches. The semifinal matches were Bloodbath Brawl matches. The finals match was a tables, ladders, chains match. There was no third place match. Your top 4 were in 4th place, playing as the original Rising Sun, history-making Matt Pineapple. In 3rd place, playing as the D2, whose gimmick works only 3 times per match, Hold the Line Harry. In 2nd place, playing as the latter version of Amos the Ironworker, Robert the Brain Dunn, and the winner, potentially getting a shot at the LFF Hardcore Championship, playing as Eddie Fury himself. Congratulations to Eddie Fury for winning the Thursday night Boss Roddy Hardcore Tournament. Saturday, we have Saturday Night Rumble March Birthday Bash hosted by Ron Rumble. This was also an Underworld Division event. 10 players played in 4 bullet rounds. All of the bullet round matches, New York Rules matches. They start at crowd meter 1. There are no disqualifications. And they play using the Super Lucha rule, where a player cannot play a finish if the opponent has not had a turn. After the 4 bullet rounds, they cut to a top 3. Hold the Line Harry receives a bye to the finals. The remaining 2 players, the Chosen One, Colby Cram, playing as Soborno, and the SRG Boss, playing as Overgiver, play in a New York Rules match, also using the stipulation from Super Lucha that a player cannot play a finish if the other player hasn't had a turn yet. The winner of that match advancing to the finals, the Chosen One. So the Chosen One as Soborno takes on Hold the Line Harry, playing as the 2024 version of Ember Wolf. The winner of this match, winning Sunday Night Rumble, was Colby Cram. Congratulations to the Chosen One for winning Saturday Night Rumble. Sunday, we had Sunday Night Fights. 4 matches on the card for Sunday Night Fights. The opening match was a defense of the LFF United States Championship. The challenger playing as Yamato Hama, the Chosen One, Colby Cram. The champion, Johnny Correa, champion with Johnny Correa. Standard singles match, it ends up going to crowd meter 3. The winner, still champion, Johnny Correa. Congratulations to Johnny Correa for a successful defense. The champion was fairly dominant throughout the match, and it paid off with a successful defense. The second match of the night was a defense of the LFF Junior Heavyweight Championship. The challenger a New York player, Luke, and I believe his last name was Labella, playing as Professor Leonardo Maggette. The champion, Nathan Wood, champion with Mr. Hyde. Also a standard singles match, ends up going to Crowd Meter 2. The winner, in an even more dominant performance than the previous match, and still champion, Nathan Wood. The challenger just could not get anything going. Nathan Wood in control from bell to bell, and has, I believe, his second successful defense as champion. The third match of the night was a match for a shot at the LFF Global Championship, currently held by the collector Sean Loeb. In this match, we had John Hodges playing as Danhausen versus Google Docs Dan playing as Nick Nemeth. This was a much more balanced match. Both players were in control at various points. Both were able to hit finishes against each other. Both broke out of their opponent's finishes. It ends up going to Crowd Meter 4. The winner at Crowd Meter 4 getting the future shot at the LFF Global Championship, John Hodges. Congratulations to John Hodges for winning the contender match. The final match of Sunday Night Fights was the defense of the LFF Tag Team Championship. The challengers, the Transatlantic Express. Practicite playing as the Grand Pack version of Practicite, and Hold the Line Harry playing as the Super Lucha version of Ninja Hummingbird, a character based on his daughter. The champions, the Crime Wave tag team of Brian, wait for it, Schmidt, playing as Deathmatch King Matt Cardona, and the Centipede playing as the Drax Art version of Bautista. This match, still relatively lopsided in favor of the winner, but not as bad as the previous two championship matches. It ends up going to Crowd Meter 1. The winners, still champions, the Crime Wave Tag Team. Congratulations to Brian Waitford Schmidt and the Centipede for a successful defense. As far as what's going on for next week, we should have Monday Night Fights on Monday night. The finals match stipulation will be Bloodbath Brawl. Other matches in the top cut will use the New York Rules stipulation, so be prepared for that. Wednesday, they will have Talk of the Universe, and there will be a match after Talk of the Universe, a match I discussed previously, an LFF Old School Championship match. Challenger, the Unreal American Hunk Homeland, played by Titan, will take on champion, the High Roller, played by Dr. Pollywood. That match will happen after Talk of the Universe ends. Thursday, we'll have Expanding the Universe midday, and then Thursday night boss fights on Thursday night. I don't have any news at the moment about anything involving Big Picture Premium. I don't know if Stacked Card or Beatdown or Ignite will be on. Beatdown usually Tuesdays, Stacked Card Wednesdays, Ignite currently Fridays. Watch for those on the Big Picture Premium Twitch channel those days. One last thing as always, Tuesday night there will be the dojo twitch.tv/srguniverse where players can challenge the house to win prizes. With that being said, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Outlaw Mudcast. I would like to thank all of you for listening, and good day.